I think he's done a great job kind of bridging the generational gap with us, especially. He always kind of helped us even in some of our religion classes since we were in kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade. So he saw us kind of grow up, and I think that really played a huge role in our lives. And you never really saw him as the old guy up saying his homily. He was always kind of more personable and someone that we could really look up to, but also kind of relate with.
Super relatable. Like, you never felt scared to talk to him, you never felt intimidated. Sometimes, you see priests and you're a little kid and your parents teach you and they're like, oh, this guy, you gotta be super nice, he's, a religious man, you wanna I'm kind of impressed with him, and then sometimes you get nervous, you get scared. But he was always just there to talk to you, just like, an old mentor or friend.
A funny story was in junior high, we got in trouble and the priest had to come all talk to us, and we were all sitting there with our tails between our legs because we thought we were in trouble, and he walked in and we had a serious talk first from one of the other priests, and he walked in, the first thing he said was, "Congratulations, you guys like girls." And then from there, we just all started laughing, and it was a lighthearted conversation. It was great.
Father Bill didn't really act like somebody that you typically see growing up. And what I mean by that is, instead of trying to just teach you or tell you, he really tried to just have a conversation with you and really say a lot of things, like Nate said, that you could relate to and really just kind of get on your level and just have really open conversations. And I think that just made it really easy for us to kind of buy into religion class. And I remember going to those classes, and those were the ones that we really looked forward to because he would be there kind of talking to us in that way, and I think we all appreciated it. And I know me personally made my conviction around faith a lot stronger, and I know that's the same for a lot of people.
A couple of years ago, one of our good friends from grade school sadly took his own life, and obviously that was a pretty tough time for all of us. We were all very close growing up, and I think Father Bill really recognized that from spending so much time with us throughout school and kind of throughout our lives. So after his funeral, the Mass, he actually reached out to our group of friends and kind of set something up where he basically took out 3 to 4 hours of his night and invited us over to one of our friends' house. We basically just talked about life, what we were all going through, how we were feeling, and he does a really good job of taking a really sad situation and kind of spinning it into a positive and making sure that we checked on each other and kind of talking through any of our concerns. So it was something that we all really appreciated.
We all were standing around there before he got there, like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna go. Can we have a beer? Can we not have a beer? We don't really know. And then it just started very casually, and then Father Bill just asked us if we had any questions, and it kind of got, we were asking him everything, and it was one of those things where when it's just us guys, we're not gonna open up, kind of peel back a layer and talk about faith or talk about our values. And Father Bill being there kind of helped us, and I remember him saying he was shocked at the type of questions we were asking because they were so deep, and I think that just shows the kind of person he is, how comfortable we were, being 20-somethings that don't go to church every weekend because we were in college at the time, and we just felt comfortable just opening up to him, and he offered great guidance on everything he talked about.
Made me feel, like we're a family still. I haven't seen Father, we used to see him daily at St. Clair. We don't get to see him as much anymore, especially, I haven't been going to church as much as I should, but, Father, knows that, something terrible happened, and then he's still checking on us to this day.
The value that came from that night, in my opinion personally, was pretty important and really big in terms of even just all of our friendship. I think that night almost changed like a switch in some of our lives in terms of like how we're always looking out for each other and how we are always celebrating each other's accomplishments and things like that. And I've noticed a big increase in that kind of vibe between all of our friends, which I think is really cool.
It is probably true that we had a few too many beers with Father that night. And yeah, he really talk about personable. He was there with us. We all kind of drank and talked together for quite a while, and I remember people asking him questions about any concerns they had in their mind. We had the science versus religion talk. We talked about how a lot of the times people can know each other for years and only know what truck they drive and what their favorite beer is. So he kind of went into all of those specifics with us and really just helped us process what was going on at the time. And it really kind of impacted us moving forward, kind of shifted our perspective about things as well.
One big thing that changed was, just being comfortable talking about the stuff that matters, kind of, not just the very surface level stuff, ask if anyone wants to go to church or how everything's going and if everyone's feeling okay. And Father Bill was very understanding, and, at the time we might not go to church all the time, church, I remember him saying how, Catholic Mass is kind of old school and we like, a little bit more of the young stuff. He's like, that's okay, just whatever you need to do to kind of feel God's presence was one thing that stuck out to me, and I think we've all carried a little bit something different from that night that's helped us along.
Our cool priest just drank with us for about 3 hours and talked about life, and everyone was kind of shocked by that, but I think anyone around here that knows him wouldn't be surprised at all.
He was the cool priest for sure. He's got like an aura about him. Like he'll just watching him walk, you can see that like he processes things like in a different sort of way, and he knows everybody. It's honestly just cool to see.
He's taught us so much and a lot over the course of, since we were 5 years old in the last, 18 years now, that has really stuck with us, and maybe don't really realize that just on day-to-day level, but if you take a moment to reflect, so much of what he's taught us are things that we do think about in everyday life. I remember specifically from a homily that he had recently about the resurrection and how it's important to not only follow the resurrection of Christ, but also how you can resurrect in your own life and improve upon things to really make yourself better. And that's something that stuck with me for a long time.
Thank you for everything that he's done for us, for me personally. I think one of the big things that kind of got hammered away for me throughout the years was just how easy it was for him to say it's okay to make mistakes, and you're not always going to be the perfect Catholic, the perfect person. You're not going to be what you want to be all the time. You're going to make mistakes, and it's about how you react to those mistakes and how you'll always have a place here, you always have a home here in the church. And that always hit home with me, kind of, that he was always there for us. So if we ever strayed off a path, he would always be there for us.
It always seemed like he had the right thing to say no matter what was going on in your life. I don't know how he did it, but it just seemed like you could take something from what he was telling you, and it was the way he went about it and the words he was saying. It just always gave you comfort.
I'm just very appreciative of everything that he has kind of brought into our lives in terms of just values. There's a way to say things correctly, and he just managed to do those kinds of things where he was able to discuss various topics with us that were fun, some were deep, but it was an important part of us growing up and maturing and just becoming better men.
As he's retiring, I think it's important to note that he's done more than enough for us. And kind of what we've talked about with being relatable through those different phases of our lives, it never felt like it was a one-time thing. It always felt like constant support from him. And kind of even just with whenever we've been able to talk to him, it's not only about God and faith and religion, it's about how's your family doing, what's going on in your life, and I think people really don't see how much that resonates with us.
Father Bill, you're a great priest, but I've heard mixed reviews about your golf game. So I think we might have to find out for ourselves one day how good you really are. We won't tell anybody if there's any swearing or any gambling going on, but I think that would be a fun time for us all, so we should absolutely make it happen.